broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Joseph Coleman, good to see you. Delaney, good to see you. And Ruchi Pal with Biz2X. Have I got everything right? Good to see you. Welcome. Excited to have you on and what you are going to be talking about. But first, I want to get to the top story of the day, Delaney, which is an interesting article that you wrote about a think tank that is poo-pooing the idea that the fraud was out of control, and they are saying it was. Tell me what they're saying, Delaney. I'm going to let you talk.
Well, I was researching, and I was quite pleased to see somebody defending these programs. This was on the American Prospect. It was an individual from the Revolving Door Project who wrote this. It was in response to a recent Associated Press article talking about, they were essentially spreading the sentiment that it was an outrageous fraud, with about 10% of the relief being lost or wasted due to fraud. So this individual at the Revolving Door Project came in and said, hey, there's programs that have existed long before the pandemic that have similar amounts of fraud. And ultimately, this number is not huge, and it doesn't negate the millions and millions of lives and businesses that were saved because of relief.
Delaney, we always want to know what the context is. So this Revolving Door Project, tell me about them. Are they left, right, center? What is their political leanings?
So actually, all of the different parties, Associated Press, the American Prospect, Revolving Door Project, they're all left-leaning or just center of left. There is some variety, but that's primarily which way they go.
But the Revolving Door, okay, a little bit of left. But again, this is what's interesting is there's bipartisan criticism of the program, but we also have bipartisan support. Delaney, remember we interviewed Senator Rubio and said, hey, we had to do PPP. We had to do it quickly, and we're going to do it worse at all. Otherwise, we're going to have civil unrest out in the streets.
Absolutely. And I think another thing to consider is this was not a uniquely American experience. We've talked about, the bounce back loan scheme, I believe it was in the UK and another European country, and they went through the exact same thing. It was just a result of the conditions we were all in.
You gotta love the English bounce back scheme.
Yeah.
They have a much better command of the language than we do. It was very good. Delaney, real quick, tell me about dollar amounts. Can you quantify in a percentage what they say was the fraud in this article?
That is a difficult question because that's
why I asked.
So many different numbers going around. There was about $785 billion in PPP, and the OIG has so far estimated about $20 billion. Recently, they said $86 billion in fraud for the EIDL program, but there's actually a quote from the Inspector General, Mr. Ware. It will be a figure that is fair. Sorry, I can't read my own writing. It will be a figure that is fair, 1,000% defensible by my office, and fully backed by our significant investigative activities. So they are working to get that money back.
Yeah, and Joseph, we've talked about that. You've covered this a lot as well. What are your thoughts about this?
I think it's spot on. We're going to be busy for years when it comes to identity theft and how all the fraud, and it's easy to cover every week. But the overall big picture was a success story, in my opinion, keeping restaurants alive, keeping cities alive for that matter. And it led to inflation causes, but I think March 2020 will be something that you had to be there, and you couldn't believe it if you weren't there 10 years from now when we're, teaching courses and getting your MBA or doing whatever.
Yeah, and I love this.
Unbelievable.
I love this line. It says, compare the amount of money that reached the people who needed it. And that's what we all need to remember. This did not go into corporate pocketbooks. This went for employees. Mm-hmm. And the people who used the program correctly took the money and made payroll. Otherwise, these people were going to lose their job. and it was a truly phenomenal accomplishment. Yeah, there were problems. We knew there were going to be problems going in. Congress knew there were going to be problems. We all knew there were going to be problems, but we have to keep in mind the decision was speed to market and get it out there, because if they had taken 12 months to get this out, we'd be in a much different economic situation than we are today. So good reporting, Delaney. I liked reading that. Ruchi, yeah, I love the name. You correct me if I'm wrong. I tend to stumble on that. Tell us what you do.
So I head marketing for Biz2X, which is a loan automation platform for banks.
Good.
That's the service we provide. Yeah.
Very good.
For technology.
And we're going to be doing a webinar next week with Darren. And tell us about the webinar. First of all, the webinar is a sponsored webinar, so it's free to the attendees. So be sure to sign up on that. There's the link. Tell us what you're going to be going through and what would be the benefit to the lenders to attend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a great webinar. So we're going to go over the future landscape, how to stay more competitive, top tools that will be available in the future or are available now, and just some real life examples of, how different banks have benefited from tools and technology available.
I haven't prepared you for this question, so
oh no,
I'm sorry if I asked. But how is we know that there's a lot of these products in the marketplace. So what is your what is it? The elevator pitch on why bankers need to look at your product? Right.
I think one of the main advantages we have is Biz2Credit and Biz2X work hand in hand. So when we created our products for Biz2X, we have a ton of data over the last 10 years. So that's kind of what sets us apart, that we're making a product based on actual data.
And as a lender, what type of loans do you do?
So Biz2X, the side I work on, we don't do loans. But for Biz2Credit, which is the other side, they do small business loans.
Okay, very good. Well, we're certainly looking forward to that. And thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're welcome to stick around and chime in. We're going to talk about some more fraud and some other stuff we have. But thank you very much, and be sure to sign up for that. It's going to be a great program.
Thank you.
Delaney, what else you got? What did Ms. Childs do?
Yeah, we have a few more stories here. So Ms. Childs had a little bit of a interesting scheme here. So there were, I believe it said, potentially 100 different victims who had actually filed a report that an individual was applying for driver's license renewals and replacements. So this was suspected to be used to fraudulently apply for credit cards. But they also found that Miss Childs, there were 20 instances where she fraudulently applied to EIDL. 14 of those were using some of these stolen identities. So the intended loss was $1 million, but the actual loss was relatively small. It was an EIDL advance of $10,000.
So that
should be easily recoverable.
Well, if it's not easily recoverable, at least it's manageable just in terms of the charge-offs. So that's how much was the loss? Was $10,000, Delaney?
Yes.
And good for the government. I know that they've been talking about dollar amounts, but this is a very significant fraud, especially if you're one of those 20 people where your driver's license was stolen. Joseph, we had talked about many instances where companies got notices and say, hey, where's pay off your PPP loan? And they said, what PPP loan?
Exactly. A lot of the synthetic identity theft would use a real business, change a couple of the names, or maybe use a real name and change the address of a real business. So way out of left field. And then hopefully you had the resources, legal representation to take care of it right away. Yeah, hopefully you were, it's.
Well, yeah, the legal resources were complaining to the Inspector General that, hey, you have me on the books for this loan and I didn't get anything. So you're trying to disprove
a federal loan,
Yeah. And let's see, what's your next story that you got, Delaney? Go ahead.
So we have a Federal Bureau of Prisons correctional officer, so someone who's supposed to uphold justice, who applied for 2 PPP loans and an EIDL loan. She applied with a completely fake and not functioning business. And after she received that money, she spent it on a Caribbean cruise, some other travel, a Chevrolet Blazer, some landscaping at her house, restaurant meals, retail goods, all the luxuries that were not supposed to be purchased with that money.
Yeah, and she got 5 months in jail. Good for her. I mean, good for the government. How much money are we talking about, Delaney? Do you know?
This was about $45,000 in total. So,
and
you know,
federal correctional officer Joseph, that's a career job. I'm sure she's making more than $45,000 a year. She just threw that away. And goodbye. Do we know how old this person is, Delaney?
if you give me 1 second, I think I might be able to find that.
But yeah,
Yes, the short answer is just a short-sighted, approach to that, and she threw away all the access that she had to being a federal corrections officer.
and everything else.
34 years old.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
still pretty young.
yeah, that's ridiculous to do that, to get up and get involved with that type of fraud. And I think we need, the story certainly needs to be told. If you're morally challenged, you're going to get caught. You better start making good decisions. And then at 34, you're supposed to make stupid decisions when you're younger and not at 34. So that's good. Let's see, Joseph. The other big news of the day is
SOP.
There you go. Tell us about it.
We're going to run a poll question for you guys.
Go ahead.
Let's launch this. Do you understand the lender responsibilities for credit bureau reporting and the issuance of IRS Form 1099-C? Very technical question. This was a new aspect of the SOP, which we got, I believe, 2 days ago. So let's see the answer.
And it is effective August 1st, correct, Joseph? I want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And Lance is going to be doing a webinar on this. When, Joseph? When next week? What's the date? There you go. Go ahead.
So we are going to be live at 2:00 Eastern next Thursday, June 22nd. These are the talking points we will talk about. For instance, what we just asked. We'll go over IRS Form, all the new liquidation and servicing stuff from the SOP. Lance has already gone through it and submitted his PowerPoint. He's very excited about that. This is the first SOP release, 57 since 2015. So we're looking forward to it.
And the theme on this SB continues with delegating more and more authority to lenders. And the good news is the SOP is becoming more and more specific in terms of how the lender must document those decisions. A lot of these decisions SBA doesn't even want to know about, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it and don't document the file, because SBA in their review session is expecting a lot of things, and that's what Lance is very, very good at. Hey, and we were able to get it up on Amazon. I'm not too pleased. No, nothing about the cover. I'm gonna blame that on. I can't blame anybody. It's my choice, but we'll fix it. Do you have it, Joseph? Do you have it handy there?
I need to pull it up. I don't have that on the slide.
It just went up on Amazon, 50 feet, but it's a nice hard cover, and you can order that, and Amazon does a great job on delivering it. So now we have the two up on Amazon. We got the 5010, the new edition, as well as the 5057. So
I think what the takeaway, what we did a franchise webinar this week, and Lance said that SBA has given the lenders the keys to the car. They have the responsibility to make more decisions and use their lending practices, which must be prudent to be a participating lender.
Yeah. And the issues in the 5057 don't seem to be as critical or receiving much scrutiny from Congress as the 5010, but this is out. It will be effective August 1st. So, and we also have included the PDF in the dashboard. So take that, download it, and that is there. Finally, what's the final story we have, Joseph? Or
A couple more things. We're going to do a featured webinar with Scott Gabehart. He works with Biz Equity. This is another free webinar that he is actually sponsoring, and it's on the new SOP 5010-7 policy and allowance of partial interest financing. So if you need help with valuations, he's a wonderful resource, and he's going to be on our platform. We're going to be doing that on Wednesday, June 28th at 1 o'clock Eastern, and we're also going to be YouTube live, so you can log into our Coleman Report YouTube channel and watch that for free as well. So
yeah, that's part of, we get paid either one of two ways. Either we charge the attendees or we charge the person who's sponsoring it. And we work very closely with them to make sure that this content, it's not a 30-minute sales pitch. We don't want that. We want to give you valued content. And Scott's going to be going through how to finance or how to value businesses. And we've had him on before. Scott's a great guy.
He put together a wonderful white paper, which I've included in the handout.
Oh, yeah. Do you have that in there?
It's a 5-page white paper, so you can download that today. And if you have any questions on Reg, just send me an email and I'll take care of it. The link is provided, and so you guys can log in.
Okay. So we do this show will be up on YouTube. You can go and just YouTube Coleman Report. You can go and view that at your leisure. There's no sign-ins, whatever. You just click on that. We will be off on Monday, in observance of Juneteenth. So that's I know most of you are off, and we follow the bank holiday schedule. Very good. Anything else, Joseph?
We're all set. The last is we have the hotel finance guide is coming out. Anna has been working on this for the last couple months. We're finalizing the last details, but that should go up.
That's not, Anna's not here. She's off today, and that's nice when you have a project and you say, "Hey, put this together," and she put it together. Well, and if you're interested in being listed as a financing source, shoot me an email, bob@colemanreport.com. We're going to have a directory on that, and there's ways that you can do that. But she did a good job. It's about 125 pages. We'll have that also up on Amazon, and it will also be free to download in the PDF. So that's our model: is if you want the actual hard copy, you can get it on Amazon, or you can get it free through PDF. Your choice. And with that, have a nice weekend. And thank you all for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great weekend and happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, everyone. Yeah.